The present lieutenant governor I first met, to my recollection, when I was the foreign minister for Canada, going into Central America, where there had been a very serious dispute, and where Canadians had been a little reluctant before because people confuse us with Americans, and the Americans were part of the problem in Central America. We took a few measures that gave us a capacity to be more effective. One of the things the Central Americans needed, they were trying to achieve a peace process. And they knew that if they had one, they had to enforce it. There had to be some kind of peacekeeping unit. And so one of the issues was, how do you develop a peacekeeping unit in places where the military plays very ambiguous roles sometimes in Central America? As I was being briefed, I said, I want to raise our peacekeeping capacity with some of these presidents. And my very smart advisors said, they won't let you talk. They probably won't let you talk to their generals. I said, so what do we do about that? They said, well, take some military people of our own. And so I went in with Colonel, I think was his rank then, Don Ethel, who had extensive experience in peacekeeping, and others. And we'd go into a room and I'd say, Mr. President, I brought some of my skilled Canadian military people of Canada along. Could they meet with your military official? So I'd be off discussing generalities with the President. And Don Ethel and others were out talking about how peacekeeping might be made to work. And later, when the Central Americans and the South Americans were able to, and Canada, were able to help achieve the Contadora Accord, there needed to be a peacekeeping arrangement put in place. And they had to ask somebody, and they asked the Spanish, naturally enough. I think the Germans were the others. They asked us. And so Canadians went down and designed a way to keep the peace during an electoral process and its consequences, that without which there would have been no agreement. Now, was the agreement perfect? Better than most? And would it have happened without our ability to use our military resources? Probably not. Was that due simply to the unalloyed personal genius of the current Lieutenant Governor of Alberta? He was acting in the best Canadian tradition. He was there as a highly respected individual, but he was there as a highly respected Canadian individual. And it was the application of a Canadian asset by a qualified Canadian. And Don Ethel did it there, and other Canadians do it literally all around the globe. And who are they? Who's Don Ethel? Who am I? We went to schools in little places in Alberta, and we were fortunate enough to have some access to these opportunities, and we responded to them. And when we go into a place and have some impact, is it because of us alone? No, it's because partly it's us. We bring something. But it is that we come from a trusted place. And that is a real asset to the country. I argue, that it's a greater asset now than it has ever been before, because the conflicts in the past were about ideology, and the conflicts now are more about culture. And we are better than most people at finding a way around the hard edges of cultural clash.